Hello, everyone. I'm Roderick D. Talley, and I'd like to welcome you to our second book review. Now, before I get into this review, I'd like to remind you all that I only give positive feedback on these writers because there's really no wrong way to write. And there's already enough critics in the world, so I'm here to do the opposite and actually spread some positivity and encourage these writers to keep writing, and it keeps inspiring people through their gift of writing. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the next book that we'll be reviewing, and it is Navigating Through the Valleys of Success by Mr. Cleon Joseph. Now, I've had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman at the Black Writers Expo over in Carson, California. And what was really cool about him is that he had his whole family with him. His wife, his daughters, they were all just helping out with him at his table and helping them attend seminars at the event. So that was a really cool sight to see. So CJ actually presents a lot of great points in this book. And as a man of God who was fairly new to business, especially at the time I read this book, it was great to see a fellow man of God who was a lot more experienced with business to come out and not be ashamed about the mistakes that they made and not be afraid to address their mistakes in this book. And so that's really insightful for new entrepreneurs as myself. So I'm only going to go over 5 points that he went over. And the first point that he went over that I really liked is I caused the ultimate self-inflicted valley by embracing mediocrity. And we see that a lot when people want to they want top results from something, but they only want to put 1 foot in. They want to keep 1 foot out. You see a lot of people say, oh, I want to lose weight and do this, or I want a six-pack, but they're not willing to do the work to get it. And that's not the case, especially when it comes to business, especially when it comes to following God. We cannot put 1 foot in, leave 1 foot out, and expect maximal results. Because you got to put the work in if you want the top results. If you want to be doing well at whatever it is that you're doing in business. So let's move on to the second point that I really like. He states, when God wants to use you, he cannot have you in a comfortable state. When we're in a comfortable state, we're not usually willing to do stuff outside of our comfort zone. And so we have to be in like a bit of a uncomfortable zone to carry out his plan, because that's usually where his work needs to be happening. That's usually where the need is outside our comfort zones. If you live in a nice neighborhood and where there's no real trouble at, you really don't need to witness to anybody there, because everybody's usually trying to take care of themselves. They got positive mindsets about them. But notice that where the needs are, let's say you got to go witnessing on the streets where there's like prostitution going on and there's gang related activity going on, that's usually outside your comfort zone in like usually lower income areas. So you got to step out of your comfort zone in order to do God's work at some point. The third point I really liked is this was a big one for me. He said he had to listen to his wife's intuition and learn and realize that your wife becomes your passion protector. And this is something that I really had to embrace, because there's definitely been times where I didn't listen to my wife when she suggested some things about the business, and it ended up costing me. It ended up costing the business some money because I just didn't go off of her suggestion. So that's very big. God gave you a wife for a reason. It's a team effort. When you got married, you're one, and she's really there to help you out, because if it hurts your business, it's hurting her as well. So I just had to really make sure that really stuck out to me as well. The fourth point that I really liked is that he states that our lives are filled with the purpose of constant living. And that's important because there's a lot of times where we allow pride to clog our judgment and to make us think, oh, I don't need to do much more, especially when we taste some success and we make it out of tough situations. Sometimes we can become prideful and forget like, hey, and get that mindset like, oh, I don't need to learn no more because I'm already here. And that's not the case. There's always room for growth. There's always room for improvement. And if you keep that in mind, you'll be great. You'll just keep getting better and better. Then the last point I'm gonna present real quick is where he states that success is truly the ability to handle larger valleys and not run from them. That's big too, because a lot of times we come out of a valley, we come out of a tough situation, we get through a storm, and sometimes we think, oh, it's all over. I don't have to face nothing else. No, really, that storm was to help you build your character and make you stronger and prepare you for the next storm. Now, granted, I don't want you to get discouraged, because you got to look back and also realize like, hey, there's certain things that used to affect me 10 years ago that can no longer affect me now, because I'm better than that. I'm not going to pay no mind to that kind of stuff anymore. So you move on to bigger rewards and also bigger storms and also bigger, deeper valleys as well. So yeah, there's a lot more. Like I said, there's a lot more points in this book. I definitely encourage y'all to read it. So where you can find this book is on his website, www.cjffla.com, or if you like to hit him up directly, he's on social media on Instagram at cjfunctional on Instagram. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time. I would like to thank the wonderful Miss Shalonda McFarlane for allowing me to use her music. Make sure y'all check out our album, available now on Amazon. Here at RD Talley Books Publishing, we are doing several things to help other writers and artists achieve the goals that they have set forth for themselves. If you'd like to view any more information, or if you have any specific question as to how we could be of assistance to you, feel free to visit our website at www.rdtalleybooks.com, or you can email me directly at roderickTalley@gmail.com.